welcome to the February morning briefing hosted by Mount Vernon Lee Chamber of Commerce. I am Allison Ross Tompkins. I'm the Vice Chair of the Chamber, and I am also a Director of Sales and Marketing at the Fairfax Retirement Community. I've been there 6 years and always been working with our wonderful senior population. I'm happy to welcome our guest from the Transportation Security Administration, Peter McVey. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Peter will be introduced just a little bit later in the program, and we'll hear his wonderful presentation. But as we begin, I'd like to recognize the Chamber's strategic partners. You see them scrolling here. These are those businesses that support the Chamber on a higher level, and we appreciate their contribution to our success. Those participating in the meeting today are the following: Don Camerata from Covanta Fairfax, Joel Bernstein of ECCA Payroll, Melissa Riddy, Innova Mount Vernon Hospital, Mike Salmon, Mount Vernon Gazette, Dan Renzel, Redmond, Peyton and Braswell, LLP, Eric Christensen, Springfield Town Center, Allison Ross Tompkins, that's me from the Fairfax at Fort Belvoir. Have I missed any strategic partners who may have joined the call? I'll give you just a minute. Okay. I'd also like to recognize the Chamber Chairman, Mark Murray. He is the owner of Fort Belvoir Swim Team. Mark, are you out there?
I am around.
Okay, good to have you. Okay, so we're pleased to welcome new Chamber members and give them time to introduce themselves at these morning events. Today, we welcome the Women in Military Service for American Memorial Foundation with an introduction by Phyllis Wilson. Phyllis, are you there?
Phyllis, you need to.
I'm here. I'm just, my screen suddenly changed, and I'm working from home this morning because of the weather, and I'm like, give me a chance. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Good morning, everybody, by the way. Let me quickly get to, there we go. So just want to give you a couple of minutes overview about the Military Women's Memorial. We've slightly rebranded as of January 1st of this year because our title was a little long: Women in Military Service for America Memorial Foundation. You almost need to take two breaths to say that. So for our purposes, we've slightly changed the logo. We've done a rebrand. So we're the Military Women's Memorial, but I'm the president of the foundation, for which is responsible to raise the money to operate and maintain that beautiful memorial. So what we do, we're located at the ceremonial entrance to Arlington National Cemetery. These are a few of the photos from both inside and outside of the memorial. We are the only major national memorial that we tell the stories of the 3 million women from the Revolutionary War till today. 3 million women have defended this nation. Now, we weren't always legally part of the military, but even in the Revolutionary War, women served in a myriad of roles, some even disguising themselves as men to fight and die on the battlefields. So since 1990, 30 years ago, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, from that point forward, more than half of all the women that have ever served in the military, with the military, more than half have come from just this last 30 years. So we're the fastest growing veteran demographic, and we're continuing to grow the numbers that we're currently serving in the military. Now, until 1968, we weren't even allowed to be more than 2% of the military, and now we're at about 17%. So we do all kinds of things, including dinners, galas, and other events, both inside and out. Later this year, we'll be hosting events such as an evening at the memorial with Norman Rockwell. We have an original Norman Rockwell sketch that we will be showcasing. We'll be during a happy hour. So we'll be inviting and getting that news out within the community. So who we are, this is a beautiful photo of when we're all red, white, and blued up on the outside. If you've ever driven to Arlington National Cemetery, we were dead in front of you, right there, square in the dead center. If you're on the rooftop there and you do an about face, sorry, military, and you're looking in towards Washington, D.C., there is nothing between you and the Lincoln Memorial. So the rooftop is a fantastic place for 4th of July fireworks as well. Also on this meeting this morning is Donna Houle, who until about a week and a half ago had been the director of the memorial. She's walked those 33,000 square feet inside with a 200-seat movie theater every day for 20 plus years. She's just been promoted to the senior director for memorial engagement and impact, and that's why she's on this meeting today. Is she'll be doing much more of the outreach to you as members of the chamber. And then for myself there, that's either of these is how you would be able to get in touch with us. So Donna, again, is on the call. She's a bit shyer, but she's going to come out of her comfort zone and get more used to interfacing here with the chamber and the community. So thanks very much, Holly, for giving us the opportunity to talk a little bit about this wonderful place that you have in your own backyard. Thanks.
Phyllis, thank you. That was absolutely awesome. As a team member of the Fairfax retirement community, of course, we have quite a few female officers living at the Fairfax. As a former Army officer myself, I have a soft spot for women in the military. And in the 80s, when they were really beefing up the encouraging women to be a part of the military, to me, it was such a no-brainer that I had to be a part of this wonderful group of women. And so I'm now a part of quite a few different smaller groups. But something that struck me in what you were saying, I remember my apartment roommate back in, it must have been 88, 89, 90, wasn't that when the memorial was first getting kicked off?
It was, absolutely. It didn't open until 97, but yes, public law made us what we are today, back in the mid to late 80s. And that's when this huge national registration campaign, which we're reinvigorating again. We have 300,000 military women's stories that are in our researchable database. But 300,000, while that's a great number, myself included, I served in the Army, there's 3 million. So we're 2.7 million shy on these incredible stories with memorable experiences where they served. One lady in particular, I just wrote an article on LinkedIn. So if anybody finds Phyllis Wilson on LinkedIn, look for Lena Stratton, a World War II nurse. She had me, I was looking in our room where we keep all of the paper registrations back from that 80s and 90s. And as I flipped through just to look at these amazing photos they mailed us, handwritten letters of what they remembered of their time in service. And as I flipped over, of course, I'm a registered nurse as well. I flip over, so she's a nurse. I thought I had stopped on a pretty cool looking photo. And I glance up and on like school lined paper, handwritten, things I remember, landing in Casablanca. Well, I was stuck right there. I had to stay and read the whole rest of that. And then I wrote the article about things remembered and this national registration campaign. So anybody knows a military woman that has served or is serving, they have a rightful place in history at our memorial in our database. So encourage all of you to consider taking the time to go to our website, simple, womensmemorial.org, and you'll find in the top right how to register her service.
Phyllis, I'd love to take an offline opportunity to talk with you more because I see some obvious synergies here.
Yeah,
all right, I won't take up any more time, but thank you for that.
Absolutely. We're available to talk to any of you. If you're large enough that you have an employee resource group or even a small thing, we would love to, whether it's Zoom or in person, come and share some of these amazing stories of what women have done in the military. And quickly, we wondered, why do we need to have a women's anything within the military. Our stories are very different, sadly, in some cases, and triumphantly in others, of how we had to fight legislation and change really a greater society in order for us to have a proper place, not only within the military, but what we would argue within society. So yes, offline, I'd love to talk with you, Allison.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Okay, so here are the upcoming chamber events on our calendar, so you can plan to participate in events that will benefit your business. Okay, February 19th. All right, that's tomorrow. Today's the 18th. The Lead Share Networking Meeting coming up on March 4. It's a Thursday at noon webinar with Dr. Kudarat, the proctor of In Touch Wellness. March 11, believe it or not, March is coming. Pure Networking with the Springfield Chamber. And March 18, of course, our very popular annual economic outlook. So I hope you will all take note of those dates and participate. Okay. All right, moving on. The new TSA headquarters is in Lee District, and I'm pleased to introduce Lee District Supervisor Rodney Lusk.
Yeah, I just hopped on.
Okay.
Wonderful. Good morning. I'm sorry
What-
about your commute this morning.
That's
What
all
an
right.
improvement. Over to you, Rodney.
It's not no, thank you, Matt. No, it wasn't too bad. It's just a little bit slower, and I'm gonna probably not be staying here too long. I realize that the icy conditions are gonna probably exacerbate here over time. So, but I've got a 4-wheel drive, so I'm in good stead. I should be okay.
Good.
Not to worry.
Good. Well, it's nice to have you. Thank you for joining us, and I'm sorry for the weather.
Yeah,
We have no control at the chamber.
I get that. You and me both. Neither of us have control over that. Someone else, much more powerful than us.
Can you give us just a little bit of an update while we have you?
Sure.
And then we will move over to Peter McVey once he arrives on the call. But I'd like to give you a few minutes, if you'd like, just to provide a bit of an update.
Yeah,
And you know
so
who I am.
I do. No, it's great to see you again. So
Allison at the Fairfax.
At the Fairfax, yep. So yeah, I won't get into all the details. I'll leave that for the folks at TSA. But I'll say from our standpoint, we are obviously delighted to have them in this market. I think this is a significant opportunity for the Franconia Springfield area and really the county. The fact that they are, they've built 625,000 square feet of office space is, a very large commitment. And what's also kind of essential and important here that many people might not know is that the developer, which is Boston Properties, this property is on the tax rolls. So this is not like a governmental facility that is not taxable. So the county does benefit from a revenue standpoint as well. And then the second thing is when you think about economic development projects, capital investment is one. So the square footage and the tax opportunity, but also two is the opportunity for sales and other taxes to some of the local businesses. So it's going to help Springfield Mall. It's going to help other businesses as people move in to the facility and start kind of shopping and interacting with some of our local businesses. And we, at this point, I can't tell you what that direct investment is going to be, but I can say that it's going to be certainly higher than it is today. It's going to be an improvement over where we are today. Also, what I note is, they've got close to 3,000 plus jobs that will be located there. And I don't know about vacancies today, but as I think the TSA is going to be around for a while, recognizing the importance of that agency. It could create opportunities for residents here to possibly work there at some point in the future. If not today, at some point in the future. So I'm just bullish on it. I'm very, very excited about it. I think another factor, and one that we're starting to look at right now, is the adjacency to the GSA warehouse. So we've got a government use that has now positioned itself right adjacent to the GSA warehouse. And I think many of you on this call are familiar with an effort that Chairman McVey and Congressman Conley and Senator Warner, Senator Kane, and pretty much all of our delegation of representatives had tried to advance the location of the FBI headquarters at the GSA warehouse. Now, I think the GSA has done a lot of research on this, the location of the TSA there, and I would say the fact that they locate it could be a bellwether, could be an opportunity for us to now go back, in which we've started a conversation, because I'm going to tell you it's going to be a competitive thing. Maryland is not going to sleep on the opportunity to get the FBI headquarters. The previous administration was dead set on nothing happening with the FBI, and nothing happened with the FBI during that term. We have a new administration. We have a new opportunity to pursue this, and we will do that. The last point I'll make, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions, is the greater Springfield area. We're really trying to figure this out. I think there's some, unique opportunities there. The work that's being done across from the GSA warehouse and across from where the TSA is where Inova Hospital has basically said they want to build a large medical campus. So the campus would be inclusive of a 124-bed hospital because of the pressure on Alexandria Hospital, pressure on Fairfax Hospital with the population growth, and then also thinking about being closer to the residents. As we've seen the Lorton area grow pretty dramatically over the last few years, there's definitely an opportunity for Inova to kind of push into this area of Fairfax County, and they're making a huge, they want to make a huge commitment to this area, and we want to be supportive. I want to be clear in saying, I think this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity for the Springfield area. We will see somewhere in the neighborhood of 750,000 square feet of new medical office uses built at this location if we're able to move them through this process. Second, they will add probably about 1,000 to 1,400 jobs with this new center, which is huge. And then third, the capital investment will be close to $770 million is the projected capital investment number. So needless to say, we don't get opportunities like this every day in Southeast Fairfax County. So we're going to do everything we can to leverage it also. So just to give you some thoughts and some insights into what I'm considering, I see this project as a way to help some of the residents who have been disadvantaged along the Richmond Highway corridor. So I'm trying to figure out, how do we position the residents for training opportunities and workforce development, skills building, so that they can help construct that new facility, and then they can also work in that facility in some of the entry-level med tech positions that will come. So I think, all around, this could be a significant win, for the Mount Vernon Lee districts in a way that we might not have anticipated. And I'll say, I wasn't aware. I know that Inova's been talking about some expansions. I was aware of some conversations that they had with me when I first came into office, and I did not expect the project to be this big. I was almost floored when they described it to me, and I was excited. So with that, let me go ahead and conclude here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
So Supervisor Lusk, it does sound to me, I'm hearing an inkling of possibility that there's a little focus in the medical field, which is actually very exciting for this region, because when you,
Yes.
and the combination that you added to that is the
Yes.
training that's required.
Yes.
When you think about that senior population, and everyone's heard the term now, that tsunami of seniors is coming.
Yes.
The pandemic is not slowing that down. People are still getting older. So that
They are.
tsunami is still coming.
Yeah, I'm one of them too.
Yeah. We're all one of them, because the alternative is not very good.
Yeah, I know.
So So if that, if that continues, and it will continue,
Right.
and we're all pleasantly surprised that there's a little more focus on that medical area, it
Yes.
could be a real boon for our region to have the combination of the training
Yes.
of those who can become medical technicians, LPNs, RNs, because we have a drought of nurses out there.
We do.
That whole medical field, we need a lot of trained people. We need a lot of support.
That's right.
So am I right in hearing that, or am I just wishful hearing?
Well, I'll say this. I'm bullish on future. I mean, I'll use the word emerging tech areas, and I know that med tech doesn't necessarily fit in the same way as, say, drones and sensor and other truly emerging tech opportunities. But I have this bucket of jobs that we are trying to think about helping our residents get qualified for. We're talking to George Mason. We're talking to Northern Virginia Community College. They have committed to help us in this effort. They've been down. We've shown the new president, Dr. Washington, at George Mason, our proposed training site, which is the old Mount Vernon tennis and racket facility that's in the Audubon Mobile Home Park. We have been talking to, a very large health services provider here about the opportunity to work with them and identifying the jobs and then figuring out which skills need to come behind or in front of those jobs for people to qualify and then hopefully get placed in them. So we are basically trying to think about a process and really a framework to make that happen. So to your point, yes, I think medtech is going to be an area that we can definitely look to grow opportunities. And let me be honest in making this point. I think I might have said this earlier when I met with the chamber when I first got elected. I think that we can do more to help raise the incomes for the folks who live in Lee District. And what I've acknowledged, and I think this is something that is very troubling to me, is that you look at the Hybla Valley area and the Gum Springs area. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the median income in that area is $51,000. And contrast that to the county, which is somewhere in excess of between 120 and almost 130 in median income. So that tells you kind of how significantly lower the incomes are in those areas, in that area, Hybla and Gum Springs, but it also explains why people have such difficulty being able to sustain themselves and to be able to meet their basic needs in this portion of our district. And if we're going to do something to transform the lives of those folks, it's to get them better employment. I mean, I think services are great at the point that people need them, but I'm not convinced that delivery of service in perpetuity, that's not the answer. So I'm really bullish on leveraging companies, corporations that are in this county and figuring out a solution to this. So you'll hear more about that.
Supervisor Lusk and Matt, we have a lot of questions for you. One is that, of course, people are very excited about the possibility of getting FBI headquarters here,
Yes.
of course. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about the thought process there, what it could do for the area, what you think our chances of getting it are? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we were one of the finalists.
We were.
In the bidding.
We were.
Where do we go from here?
So the congressional and local delegations are already starting to work on this issue. So we've worked on a letter that is being sent to express our interest, obviously, in having the GSA warehouse be the location, future home of the FBI. And we're going to have to start working on our pitch. So we did this before. We had a pitch that was developed, and we coordinated with our elected delegation. And I'll say we're in a good place. I mean, Mark Warner is, as our senior senator, is probably, and I'm going to say this, and I got to be careful because I'm not trying to disparage the folks in Maryland, but Barbara Mikulski was the impediment before, and Barbara's gone. So I'm happy that she's gone, because what that means is we fare better in the fight to try to win the FBI. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk for us, because there's no way that I would know that, but we're going to do everything we can to position ourselves to win this. So we'll be working on our pitch. We'll be able to share some information once we've kind of got this started, but we're at the very beginning of this process. You know, you have a new administration, and we think the new administration is going to be open to having this conversation with us. We don't think there's the same level of vitriol and animosity that existed between the FBI and the previous administration and the current. So I think, you know, this is really a land use decision, and I think for DC, it makes sense that the FBI kind of leave that location. So they're going to have to eventually move. There's no question about that. The space is not, it's antiquated, it's obsolete, it doesn't meet their needs, and they can't grow there. So I think, you know, all of these factors present, you know, the opportunity for them to move. The question is, can we get them to move here? We're going to do everything we can to make.
So does it behoove us, all these questions running through my head, I'm sure that they're running through everybody else's head too. So I'm going to open it up to questions for them. But
Sure.
It seems to me if we have a good chance of putting in a good proposal and working on our pitch and securing FBI headquarters, would it be more attractive if our those wires were put underground? Because travel is going to be important. The look and feel of the area is going to be important. Does it behoove us to get that done now and say we're going to get it done? Because the other thought process is housing in our area is affordable. So we have a really good chance of getting those echo boomers, so to speak, those who are now looking to move out of their condos and they want to move into single family homes on nice sized lots, and they want to do renovations, and they want to flip houses, and they want to do all sorts of things.
Right.
Where can they do that? Right in our backyard, because our houses are affordable.
Relatively speaking, yes. I mean,
Relatively
you compare it to other parts of the county, we have.
Correct. So
much
it's
more affordable.
all intertwined there. So not to make
Yes.
my question too complicated,
Yeah.
but there are lots of pieces in there that can make it all fit. You've got quite a puzzle to figure out here.
Yeah.
Lots of pieces to that puzzle.
No, I agree. I mean, I think the undergrounding along Richmond Highway won't have the same impact at the GSA warehouse as it will really for the corridor. So I see them as being kind of separate, right? The two things, undergrounding in this case is going to be separate because the submarkets are different. So we're looking at the Franconia Springfield area for the FBI headquarters, and that's going to be principally looking at the Fairfax County Parkway and some of the major roadways through Springfield. So Frontier Drive, Spring Mall Drive, kind of the ones that will get you to the Beltway and then get you down. And you can take, I mean, you could take Beulah down to the Beulah down to Telegraph down to Richmond Highway. But when you hop off of Richmond Highway at that point, you're kind of towards the end, you're kind of towards the southern end of it, as opposed to coming like from the north all the way down. If you're going south on Richmond Highway from its intersection with Telegraph, I mean, I guess you could make an argument that it would be nicer to have everything undergrounded for people when they're driving, but they're not driving the full length of it. So the impacts aren't as great as we're going to suggest. I think if we were to win the FBI headquarters, that would be just enormous. I mean,
It would be enormous, yes.
Because just the name itself and the marquee of winning that over pretty much anybody else is a huge feather in our cap. I'm confident that we have the right team. I think you guys know Victor Hodgkins, and Victor is probably arguably the best economic development professional in the whole world, hands down. He won Amazon HQ2 for Arlington, and now he works for us. He's going to be helping us in developing our pitch. He's going to be helping us in making this case. We are in very good stead. So stay tuned.
Excellent.
Stay
Excellent.
tuned.
Thank you for that. So we have some questions, Supervisor Lusk, from
Sure.
our board. So Colleen, do you have the first question?
Sure. Rodney, it's a question about the infrastructure around the TSA facility.
Sure.
You know, there are the roads there, that one of the reasons they located was because of access to Metro.
Correct.
And then there's the roads around there. Can you give any kind of an update on what's happening about the infrastructure around the new headquarters?
Yeah, the Frontier Drive extension is really the main improvement that we've got to get done. I'll be clear in saying it's not funded. I think TSA is aware of that. You guys are all aware of that. We have been pulling most of our funding, and this is, let's be clear in saying this, the county has allowed most of its road funding to be allocated to the widening of Richmond Highway and the BRT. So Richmond Highway is the focus for Fairfax County for transportation. The widening is number one, BRT is number two, Frontier Drive is either 3 or 4 on the list as I recall. So I can clarify what their exact ranking is, but 3rd or 4th. So it's the next thing after we get through addressing the funding needs for the Richmond Highway work. So we've had some challenges, I think you are all aware, with the level of funding, and we've had some changes in that level. So we've had to make some alterations and basically extend out some of the projects. I do believe that we'll be able to find money to get this done. It's still in the design. It's still in the design phase. We've got to get to funding for construction and development. And it's gonna, I can't remember how off the top of my head, if I'm correct, it's over 40 million, 41 plus million that we're gonna have to get for this. So it's not a small amount, but it's not quite like, the 100+ million that we've needed to be acquiring for some of the work that we're doing on Richmond Highway. So we'll get there. It's just going to take a little bit more time. We've got some significant needs in the area that I just described. So when I mentioned Hyla, I'm talking about the folks who live in Audubon, Harmony Place, Creekside, Sequoia. They need an asset right now, desperately. They've been impacted most severely by COVID-19. They have significant job losses. They have great human services needs. They need a place in their own community that they can walk to without having to, get in there, get on a bus, get on a bicycle, cross Richmond Highway, which is, as you know, is one of the deadliest roads here in the Commonwealth. I am very keen on delivering something in this year, having that program up and running this year. The work that's being done, which I think is considerable and admirable at the old Mount Vernon High School, is not going to be ready for years. And it can't wait that long. I am open to having a connection in terms of the uses. I think it's going to be symbiotic, the work that's going to be done there and what's going to be done at the center that I'm discussing. And there will be opportunities to partner. But I can't, in good faith, say wait until that facility is built, and recognizing the point I just made earlier that we're going to be developing facilities in and around this district and Mount Vernon district. And we've got to get the people trained now so that when the construction starts, they can be hired to work on those projects.
We were just joined by Peter McVey with the TSA.
So what I wanted to do is kind of give you, we've talked a lot about the project, and so I wanted to kind of give you a visual pictorial of just what our property looks like, the size of it. I can talk about some particulars and kind of walk you through the whole photos as we go. So the photo that you're looking at is obviously the building itself. It's 9 stories, 625,000 square feet with 30,000 square feet of conference room facilities throughout the building. The idea was really to consolidate our 5 locations, actually, with all the components of TSA into one location for synergy, as well as the expedience of doing our work and performing our mission. The picture that you're looking at is actually what our employees would and how they would enter coming up through the Metro Center. So the sidewalk that would lead them from the Metro to our facility is what you're looking at. There's steps that come up here. There's also a, can you see my mouse?
Yes.
At all? You can, okay, great. So the steps coming up here, there's also handicapped egress on the side. What you're seeing right here is a bus stop and a shuttle stop. So we do have shuttle services that the government provides, as well as the county is providing to pick up our federal employees. Unfortunately, the way our restrictions is that we can only have a shuttle service for federal employees. So it's very important to also utilize the other possible means of transportation for shuttles for our contractors, as well as visitors that'll be coming into the facility as well. So if you go to the next slide, there's quite a few slides, so I'll move through as quickly as possible. This is actually the back side of that building. So the building on the left is a 6-story parking garage. It has about 1,700 spaces for our federal employees, which is more than sufficient for our driving commuters. And a little breezeway here with a covered walkway to help go from one side to the other. The building is about 240 yards in length, to give you an idea of the overall size of it. And we house about 3,100 people within the facility itself. It's a level 4 security facility, which is kind of important. To give you an idea, the White House and the Pentagon are level 5. So the security by DHS is pretty tight. There's a dual authentication coming into the building, and it's pretty well reinforced. So it's a pretty safe environment once you're on the campus. The parking garage that you see directly over in this direction here on the west side, or the south side, is the Innova Medical Center campus parking garage. Next slide. This is how our employees would enter from the backside. This is Springfield Center Drive. They come in on the backside of the parking garage. They've already presented their credentials, and this is a second level they have to present. And there's actually a third once they enter the building. So go to the next slide, please. And that's just coming out of that you're looking at the parking garage. This is from the building, kind of give you a different perspective. Next slide. Actually, the parking garage before any of us actually got there, just some wayfinding, and we can go to the next slide. And this is looking at the Innova campus. So I apologize for the redundancy here. This is really to kind of walk our employees through at an earlier stage. So just kind of bear with me. I'll get to the meat of things. So on the first floor, this is once you come into the building and with the employee entrance. We'll get into this area over here in a little more detail and just what that is. But there's a lot of things to kind of remind our employees of our mission, what we're here to do, and also some accommodations here as well. So if you go to the next slide. So this wall up here is kind of a neat kind of art assembly. It kind of looks like an airport from an aerial view with gates where airports would be assembled. But all the material here is just forfeited items at the checkpoint. A lot of these things right here are wine openers and corkscrews. And then we have you'd be surprised at the things that people abandon at the checkpoint, but there's also a lot of things that we confiscate, which are not up here, but it would really make you pause as to things that people try to move through in a check baggage or in a checkpoint environment. But up here, there's also some very interesting facts here that all the drinking alcohol is repurposed and made into ethanol, and it's provided to gas at the pumps, as well as we try to keep everything out of landfills that we collect. It's either donated through the state and local governments or to fire and police. And we try to make the best utilization of everything that we do collect. And it is a big burden, actually. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, storage and things that we have to, and contracts that we have to execute in order to make that happen. Next slide. So as you walk in, you're still coming through. This was a coffee shop area over here, and you'll get a better look at that. This is the freestanding Gensler signature piece for their architectural branding, I guess, is what they do. If you see these floating stairs anywhere downtown, which they're very prominent, probably it's a Gensler design. They were the architect on this project, and that'll take you up to our conference area upstairs. Next slide. There's a coffee shop over here that is not operational at this time. And the reason for that is our contractors that are on board have a $0 contract, which means they operate off a profit. They need about 2,000 people in the building in order to operate this at with a modified menu. So just to give you an idea, a lot of the folks that will be coming into the building, we won't have this until we're probably at capacity, as well as our cafeteria, which means there'll be a lot of outside mobility to get food, coffee, all those kind of other things using the local businesses around, which is good for the economy and good for our employees to get familiar with what's around them, utilizing the shuttle services and so forth. Next slide. Just a better look at the coffee shop in a different perspective. That's the garage that you're looking right across the way outside the building. And there's also a screening area up here. We screen visitors, and there's a random screening of federal employees as well. And that area over there that was just circled is the guard. That's bulletproof glass behind there. And our guards are located there as well. Next slide. Just another shot of the coffee shop. You can see some wayfinding up there with them on the walls. More messaging for our employees and reminders. Next slide. This is the first floor hub area. And what this is underneath the countertops, you'll find USB charging ports. We tried to make it as friendly as possible and a place where people can relax, charge their phone, kind of check their messages, things along those lines. That empty space that you see over there to the left is where 3 refrigerators will be. We're still feeling the impacts of COVID due to the appliance manufacturing delays. And so you'll see that prominent in some other locations as well. But we're hopefully going to get those here in the next March or April timeframe. So it's been that long and that great of an impact. Next slide. It's our fitness center. A lot of people utilize this. It looks rather large. It's not as large as it looks, I guess, in the picture. But there's a couple rooms in the back there for training classes and things. There's also places where shower facilities and locker rooms. Our FAMs are also located there, our federal air marshals. They're just the headquarters staff, not a lot of the actual flyers, but they do have a requirement to stay fit, and they utilize this quite frequently. It's a free facility for our employees, which was not typical in the other locations. But we provide this service and open it up to all employees to encourage their health and wellness. Next slide. This is our health center, much improved from our old health center. They have 3 treatment rooms. We are going to start vaccinations here soon, I believe, in the next month. We're in the process of doing the signage and everything else for that, and we've already determined an egress in and out of the building. It's going to be very well managed, I guess, as far as the number of people coming into the facility due to the security concerns. Not going to be a huge influx, but it'll be a steady influx of folks coming in. So next slide. We'll show you the treatment rooms, typical treatment rooms. Next slide. This is our mail location centers. So all the mail will be delivered there as well and coming in and going out. Next slide. Garden turnstiles. So this is kind of giving you an idea of what they come into the building from. Our pedestrians and commuters and buses that would be dropping folks off would have to go through this route. It kind of gives you the visitor center as well. Next slide. Again, I apologize for the number of slides here. It's more from an employee's perspective, but I thought it'd give you a good view of it. So here you can see the two doors entrances. The one to the right is going to be visitors. The one to the left is our employees. So our foot traffic employees and commuters. Next slide. And this is what the visitors would see. So to the left, they would come in and be screened. You can see the walk-through metal detector to the far left. There's a waiting area for the federal employee to come down and pick the visitor up. Over to the top of the screen where you see the TVs, that's where our employees would come in. Our pedestrian employees or commuter employees or shuttle drop-offs would come in at the top of the screen there and then enter into the building. Next slide. Just another look and a little closer. We also have the ability to use that the AV messaging up there to provide any type of updates or information that's pertinent for our employees coming into the building. Next slide. And that's just another look at it from a different angle. Next slide. So here is actually on the second floor. You're on the second floor now, and that is also where what you just looked at from our employees coming into the building that are pedestrians. They enter on the second floor of the building. This is really what we call Mission Hall. It's kind of a way to tell the TSA story, and it starts from one side and wraps all the way around to the other side of the building. Basically telling our inception and how we were created, remembering the events that occurred that spawned TSA, and kind of walks through the whole TSA story and where we're going, where we started and where we're going actually. So next slide. This is the back side of Mission Hall. These little platforms you see here actually have mannequins on it now, complete with K9 mannequins as well, kind of identifying the different officers and the uniforms, and there's a video there. Keep in mind, this is really for our visitors that are coming in. This is where the main conference centers are located. So it gives them an idea of what we're here to do and kind of our storyline moving forward. Next slide. Just more of our Mission Hall. You'll see a better shot of that when you're going down the stairs. The area to the right there where that screen is going to be a future technology area. Our capabilities group and will have state-of-the-art technology that they're currently trying to deploy out into the field. Next slide. And that's just, you see the floating stairway coming up into Mission Hall. And then not on our watch is the opposite. It's the last slide you just saw. So it'd be going down the steps is what you'd see. Next slide. I hope this isn't too boring for you. So this is actually a shot going down the steps down to the first floor where our employees are commuting.
Hey, Pete, I'm going to interrupt you for a quick second. This is Allison. And just in the interest of time, I want to make sure we get to everybody's questions. While you skip ahead to some particular slides that you feel are most critical, I'd like to ask you this question. And that is that some government agencies do have some outsourced daycare that they provide. Now, whether it's just outside the security gates or somewhere nearby, is that under discussion or consideration for sometime later pandemic once vaccinations happen and so forth?
TSA is constantly evolving as far as what we provide for our employees. Currently, we've identified locations, daycare locations that are located around our community now, and we encourage folks to use that as well. We have not secured any of the on the side of the building the parking garage where it meets Innova Medical Center, there is a leased facility there. The lessor has not named anybody in there. I think there's going to be like a convenience store, maybe some food, as well as dry cleaning facilities. I don't know if daycare is going to be in there or not, but these will all be outsourced and not sponsored by TSA, just make our employees aware. So at this time, no, but that's not to say things won't change in the future.
And if somebody wanted to refer a friend to your website for a particular job or hiring, that kind of thing, where should they go?
USA Jobs is really where we solicit for hires. And you can search in USA Jobs for TSA, and it'll pull up anything that says headquarters. It would be our location. So you can search by a variety of different keywords.
Excellent.
All right, we can thumb through this really quick then. So let's just go to the next slide. You're gonna be going quick now. Second floor, keep going. That's just waiting area. Messaging center, town hall, gives you an idea. Each one of those areas up in the ceiling is a pocket door. So they can segment that off into smaller conference room meetings. That holds about 300 people. Next slide.
Hey, Pete, while you're going through,
Yeah.
one question we have from the group is that, it's no surprise that hotels have taken a hard hit due to the pandemic, but what kind of lodging can the surrounding hotels expect from this new facility? Any training, relocation, meetings, conferences coming up in the next year or so?
Yeah, well, obviously, as soon as the pandemic is released, we'll be in full swing, and we host those types of meetings all the time. We call in, this is just our headquarters facility. So when we call in for staff meetings and call in for town halls, we do have people travel into the facility that are located outside. These would be regional directors, federal security directors have quarterly meetings. And all these people would be coming from different parts of the country. We even have folks come from, Honolulu and Guam, Saipan, Puerto Rico, locations like that. So we do call personnel back in for briefings and meetings and quarterly updates. This will continue.
You have a travel ban on, obviously, right now, correct?
We have, it's not a ban, but it has to be approved by leadership. It also has to be mission critical. So we still travel. And a matter of fact, I had a couple of my employees travel in today, and they stayed down at the Holiday Inn, or what is the one down on the corner there by 395? Embassy Suites. They stayed at the Embassy Suites. So we still do call them in. It's not the volume that we're used to, but we will continue to do that as needed. And as soon as the pandemic's lifted, you'll see a lot more of that type of activity.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. This is the conference room center. We actually have behind these guys sitting at the table here. That screen will actually be informing folks of different meetings, much as you'd see at a nice convention center downtown. Next slide.
So how much meeting space, Pete, and training rooms does this location have?
30,000 square feet.
30,000.
We have 30,000 square feet in the building, and we intend to use all of it. And it's not just open to TSA, it's also open to DHS components as well.
Okay. And if, how many employees would be relocating their families to the surrounding areas for headquarters?
Well, as positions are filled, we certainly have some relocation assistance that we provide based off of the particular job description. But it's just, I don't have the vacancy numbers just yet, and those that would be requiring to move. It's all based off of who's selected and where they currently live, and that's all negotiated outside. They could very well be within the metro area and not have to move. So.
Yeah. Okay.
I got a question.
Yep.
How many employees are there right now?
So we fluctuate between about 300 and 1,000, depending on what's going on for the day. Obviously, there's probably on the lower end today. It's a 24/7 facility, So there's always somebody at the building. And by somebody, I don't just mean the security staff. I mean, we're always working there. And that's just our mission. So right now we're keeping numbers relatively low, but we're starting to ramp that back up here in the next month or so. And we'll gradually increase to about 1,250 here within the next several weeks. What you're looking at in front of you is really our options for food in the building. So as you can see, we'll be reaching out to the community to address our food needs. Next slide. This is our cafeteria facility. And again, that probably won't be operational until we're at least at 2,000 people in the building. Seating capacity. There's actually more than that, but keep going. That gives you an idea of just the cafeteria size. Keep going. And again. Outdoor seating capabilities, which is nice. Next slide. This is the elevator lobby in 2. Concrete floors for they're out the most part in the lobbies and common areas to reduce maintenance costs. Next slide. Go real quick here. This is a common hub area. Keep going. We have colors identified for east and west, sunrise and sunset. Red, this is a sunrise. Kind of the same areas with copy areas, typical workstations, everything's sit to stand. So they have buttons where their desk will rise and alleviating the need for like Veridesks and things along those lines, saving the government a lot of money, and taxpayers. Typical workstations. Keep going. Flex spaces, these are our mobile commuters, those that will be teleworking that have a need to come into the building from time to time. They have little isolation areas over there where they can sit and take a phone call or do whatever they need to. All those desks are sit to stand as well. Just a closer look at a flex station. Typical conference rooms within the building. And again, our larger conference rooms are outside. These are living spaces. They can actually hold meetings. Right underneath the TV is all the IT hookups for any type of meeting they need to attend to other than classified. Little breakout areas if you need to make a phone call and don't want the person next to you to hear what you're saying. There's little isolation rooms. Next slide. Average office area. Also the desk is sit to stand. Next. This is our executive area offices. They have a conference room, sit to stand desk as well. Whiteboards on the side are glass so that there's no issues with replacing those or ghosting of images up on the whiteboards. Next. Locker areas. These back and looking back towards the hub area. Next slide.
Hey, Pete, I've confused myself on the numbers here. What's your total capacity for employees there? You say the
About
cafeteria
3,100.
will open at 2,000, but you can go to 3,100?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yep. Keep going there. Those are just vending areas and lockers for telecommuters. Mother's rooms for nursing. It's the executive suite right here. Inside is, couldn't show you the other part of that, but just gives you an idea of some of the graphics up there. Next slide. We're getting towards the end, I think. This may be it.
I think that's the end.
Okay. Sorry for the length of that. I didn't really know how in depth we wanted to go, but it was the most recent stuff that we have. So
Pete, that
apologize.
was
There was
awesome.
okay.
That was awesome.
Any
Thank you
additional
for-
questions?
Thank you for speeding up in the interest of time, but we wanted
Sure,
to
I'm
make
sorry.
sure no, that was really terrific. Everybody, of course, is very interested in hearing the latest and greatest, and the pictures were excellent, and it just gave us a great summary of kind of where we are. Okay, thank you, Pete, for that great update on the TSA
Thank you.
headquarters. And everyone, that
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That concludes today's program. The March morning briefing will be the annual economic update. And we look forward to seeing each of you then. We hope you have a great, very safe day. Bye, everybody.